Welcome back. State cattle conventions are a great way for local producers to meet and begin developing policy positions that they may one day present to NCBA for consideration. Lane Nordland has a look at the Montana Stockgrowers mid-year meeting, which offers a great mix of work and fun.
As cattlemen and women meet with their respective livestock associations here this summer, the Montana Stockgrowers Association held their annual mid-year meeting in Dillon, Montana. This year, ranchers were able to connect with consumers, elected and appointed officials, and by doing this, they are sharing the importance of the Western way of life and bridging the gap between Washington, D.C. and the countryside.
Well, one, it says a lot about our organization that they feel it's important enough to take the time to come to our summer convention. It's an opportunity to get to know them better, for them to get to know us better, and to share our thoughts on whatever issue is important to us.
One issue that is very important to livestock producers in western states is having the right to graze public lands. In Montana alone, there's over 27 million acres, or 29% of the state, that is administered by 5 federal agencies. For public lands ranchers, it's vital that federal agencies understand the role grazing plays in keeping range and forest land healthy.
This is a big part of what we do, as you know. We manage 245 million acres of surface estate, and part of what Congress told us to do is to manage that for public lands grazing and to come up with things that work. So it's always important for us to come together, meet with stakeholders, and find out how we're doing, what processes are working, what may not be working, and find innovations if we can.
Public lands ranchers also know it's very important to share their story with their peers in the livestock industry.
I think it's really hard. Being from the South, it's hard to understand it till you really see it. We all have a lot of shared problems and a lot of shared concerns, and we do a lot of things the same way, but they have an extra level of hoops they have to jump through, so to speak. And really, until you see it and you talk to the folks and you hear how they have to manage their public land allotments every day, it's really hard to understand. So I encourage, any of the elected officials, and we try to encourage that with our Eastern guys and our Tennessee delegation, that we need to support our brothers because we're all in the cattle business together.
Cattlemen and women know the importance of creating and fostering relationships with elected and appointed officials, and they appreciate when these leaders take the time to listen to their concerns.
No, it is important, but I think it's important for them too, because they realize that we are the voting body and that kind of what stock growers, the policy that we pass will affect them later. So if you're not at the table, you're on it, and they know that we're stepping up and we're at that table and in the conversation, and they want to know what we're thinking and what the people that elect them want.
Number one is you have an administration who are starting to put people in key positions that affect our lives every day, who believe that agriculture is part of the solution, they're not part of the problem. We had an attitude coming out of D.C., frankly, that felt like at times we were almost at war with administrations of the past. Now we have people who, they are homegrown folks, they understand the way of the West, but importantly, they're coming out, they're getting out of their ivory towers, and they're getting out here to places like Montana, spending time in pickups, spending time walking around the pastures, spending time up in the grazing areas on our public lands, and it's so important we keep multiple use. Critically important. We have certain fringe extreme groups that want to lock all this up and remove literally generations of ranchers that have responsibly been stewards of the land and have grazed it. We need to fight every day to protect that.
I feel real ties to this community, and so I want to get it right. And I think that in terms of listening, that's what we have to do. And the Trump administration and Ryan Zinke in particular really does care about how we're doing with our interaction with those that rely on public lands.
Public lands grazing is just one of the many issues that the NCBA and state affiliates like the Montana Stockgrowers Association, along with the Public Lands Council, are working on to make sure that cattlemen and women have a future in the livestock industry. Reporting for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, I'm Lane Nordland.